Okay, so you've been checking out RoleCatcher, right? Specifically, their guide on becoming a, wait for it, boring machine operator. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Boring. Sounds a little, well, boring, doesn't it? But stick with me here, because after digging into this, I'm convinced it's way more interesting than it sounds at first glance.
Oh, absolutely. It's one of those fields that often gets overlooked, but is actually way more demanding and honestly fascinating than people realize.
Right, we're talking precision engineering here.
Exactly. We aren't just talking about drilling holes here. We're talking about shaping metal into those essential components that make everything from cars to airplanes actually function.
And speaking of precision, RoleCatcher really dives into that whole aspect. They describe boring machine operators as basically taking these pieces of metal, they call them fabricated work pieces, which have already been roughly shaped, and then, get this, using these incredibly powerful, precise machines to essentially enlarge existing holes. And the accuracy is unbelievable.
And that's where that term boring actually comes from. It's not about being dull or anything. It's all about that specific machining process of carefully enlarging and refining those pre-existing holes to make them, perfectly smooth and sized. So the final product works exactly as intended.
It's all about that perfect fit. And they make it clear that this is not just about pushing buttons, it's about working with a variety of metals,
Oh, for sure.
each with its own unique properties. And knowing exactly which cutting tools are needed for the job seems like it takes a real blend of technical expertise and on-the-fly problem-solving skills.
You've got it. RoleCatcher actually highlights that problem-solving aspect as being absolutely crucial for anyone looking to move up in this field. Think about it. If something goes wrong during the boring process, let's say a tool breaks, or the metal isn't reacting as expected, you need to be able to identify the issue quickly, understand exactly why it's happening, and then come up with a solution to get everything back on track.
It's like being a machining detective. And speaking of career progression, I love how RoleCatcher breaks it down into distinct stages.
Yeah.
You begin as an entry-level operator, assisting with the setup, loading those work pieces.
Right, right.
All right.
So this is where you are really building those foundational skills. As you gain experience, you move up to a junior operator role, and that's where you're running the show. Now, this is interesting because you could be working on either a single spindle machine that works on one piece at a time, or those multi-spindle machines.
Oh, wow.
And those can handle multiple work pieces all at once. It's like the difference between cooking one dish at a time versus mastering like a multi-course meal.
I like that analogy.
Becoming proficient with these different machines is essential for career advancement.
Okay, so you're leveling up your machining skills. And here's where it gets really interesting. They highlight the senior boring machine operator. This is someone who not only possesses those top-notch technical skills, but also takes on leadership roles, optimizes processes, and even collaborates with engineers.
Exactly. Imagine leading a team tasked with machining a crucial component for a new aircraft. You're not just responsible for precision, you're coordinating your team, troubleshooting issues, and ensuring deadlines are met. They become a vital link between the shop floor and the design team, using their hands-on knowledge to ensure those designs can actually be manufactured efficiently and effectively. It's a much more strategic and influential position than you might initially think.
Way more than just working with metal. And speaking of strategy, let's talk about career prospects. RoleCatcher mentions a consistent demand for these highly skilled operators, even with all the talk about automation in manufacturing. They seem to suggest that specializing in a particular type of boring machine or focusing on a specific type of workpiece is a smart move in today's job market.
Absolutely. It makes sense. The more specialized your skills are, the more valuable you become, especially in a world where automation is increasingly handling those more routine tasks. It's all about staying ahead of the curve. RoleCatcher actually mentions industry publications and conferences as valuable resources for staying updated on the latest advancements in the field.
That's really interesting. It seems like continuous learning is vital in this field. Okay, let's talk about their interview prep section because it's pretty comprehensive. They actually have a whole section dedicated to preparing for those tough interview questions, and it's specifically tailored to this career path, which I thought was really cool.
They've actually analyzed a massive amount of data, over 120,000 interview questions. To be precise, to understand the recurring themes, the challenges that often come up in interviews specifically for boring machine operators.
And the best part is they don't just throw questions at you and leave you hanging. They provide valuable insights into what those interviewers are truly looking for in a response. It's like having a secret decoder ring to help you ace that interview.
It's about understanding the why behind each question. What specific skills or experiences is the interviewer trying to assess? Once you understand that, you can tailor your answers to demonstrate those qualities effectively. They even have AI tools that allow you to practice answering questions and get personalized feedback.
It's like having a personal interview coach in your pocket. But here's something I found really fascinating. RoleCatcher really emphasizes the transferable skills you gain in this career path. So even if down the road, you decide to explore other opportunities, those problem-solving, technical, and quality control skills you develop as a boring machine operator are valuable assets across many manufacturing and engineering sectors.
It's like building a versatile toolkit of skills that you can carry with you throughout your career journey. And in today's rapidly evolving job market, that adaptability is incredibly valuable.
So if you're someone who loves working with their hands, has a knack for precision, and thrives in a fast-paced environment where you're constantly learning and solving problems, this could be a really fulfilling path.
Don't let the name fool you. There's nothing boring about a career that involves working with cutting-edge technology and playing a crucial role in creating the products we rely on every day.
And speaking of those products and the environment where they were made, let's dive into what it's actually like to work as a boring machine operator day to day. RoleCatcher does a great job of painting a picture of the work environment.
Yeah, it's definitely not your typical office setting. Think more like a machine shop vibe.
Okay, got it.
RoleCatcher describes it as a factory or workshop environment, which makes sense considering these machines are at the heart of the manufacturing process.
Yeah, that tracks. So we're talking like sparks flying, the hum of machinery in the background.
Exactly. Imagine the sights and sounds of a bustling production line. You'd be right in the thick of it.
Wow, it sounds pretty intense. RoleCatcher does mention potential exposure to noise, dust, and other workplace hazards.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So safety gear wouldn't just be a suggestion, it would be absolutely essential.
Absolutely. They specifically mention protective equipment, like gloves, safety glasses, and earplugs as standard issue for a reason. It's a good reminder that while those technical skills are essential, being safety conscious is paramount in this line of work.
Safety first, for sure. And it sounds like it can be quite physically demanding as well.
Oh, absolutely.
RoleCatcher talks about standing for long periods and potentially working in close quarters around these powerful machines.
Yeah, it's definitely not your average desk job. You'd need to be comfortable being on your feet for extended periods, you know, have a good level of physical stamina to handle the demands of the role. But it's not a completely solitary job, though. They also highlight the importance of teamwork and communication.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they mentioned interactions with, like, other operators, supervisors, and quality control personnel.
That makes sense. You're all part of a larger manufacturing ecosystem, so collaboration is key.
Exactly. Think about it. The output from your boring machine is often the input for another stage in the manufacturing process, right? So you'd be part of a well-coordinated team, making sure those handoffs are seamless and everything runs like a well-oiled machine.
It's like a highly precise dance where everyone has their part to play. And speaking of keeping things running smoothly, RoleCatcher brought up an interesting point about how technology plays a huge role in this field.
Oh, for sure. Even though the fundamental role of a boring machine operator, that precision enlargement of holes, has remained consistent over the years, the tools and technologies they use are constantly evolving.
They specifically mentioned advancements in computer-aided design, CAD, and computer-aided manufacturing, SCAM.
Right.
It seems like these software programs are revolutionizing the way things are designed and produced these days.
Absolutely. And boring machine operators need to be comfortable working with these digital tools. Imagine, like, taking a design from a computer screen and using your expertise to program a machine to bring it to life. It's a blend of traditional craftsmanship and cutting-edge technology.
It sounds like a career where you'd always be learning and adapting. And speaking of learning, RoleCatcher really emphasizes that ongoing learning is crucial for career advancement in this field. Staying current on industry trends, new machining technologies, safety practices, it's a continuous journey of improvement.
Precisely. And they go even further, suggesting workshops, advanced courses, and other professional development opportunities.
Yeah.
It's like they've created a roadmap, not just for entering the field, but, for thriving in it long term.
Now, that's what I'm talking about, a career with room to grow. But let's get real for a moment. RoleCatcher also dives into the pros and cons of this career path.
Right.
Providing like a balanced perspective on both the potential benefits and the challenges that come with the territory.
I appreciate their honesty. Sugarcoating doesn't help anyone make informed decisions.
Right. So on the plus side, they highlight things like the potential for high earning potential, good job security, and the opportunity to work across various industries. It seems like skilled boring machine operators are in demand across the board.
Yeah, and they don't just stop there. They also emphasize, the potential for advancement, as we've discussed, and the chance to work with that cool advanced technology we were talking about. There's definitely room to grow and take on more responsibility over time.
But like you said, they don't shy away from the cons either. They mention the physically demanding nature of the work, the potential for repetitive tasks, and the possibility of long or irregular hours, including shift work.
That's right. It's not your typical 9 to 5 job. It requires a certain level of, physical and mental stamina to thrive in that type of environment.
They also point out the potential for exposure to hazardous materials, which is definitely something to consider seriously. And they acknowledge that, depending on where you are in the world, job opportunities might be more limited in certain geographic regions.
That's true. The manufacturing sector isn't evenly distributed, so location can be a factor in your job search and overall career prospects. Being open to relocating or, researching industries and opportunities in your specific area is definitely a smart move.
So it seems like every job has its pros and cons, but it sounds like the pros have the potential to outweigh those cons, especially if you're someone who thrives in a hands-on environment, enjoys problem solving, and is passionate about precision and quality.
And let's be honest, there's a real sense of satisfaction that comes from knowing you're creating something tangible, something essential to the way the world works.
Absolutely. And speaking of essential skills, RoleCatcher talks about the importance of soft skills in this role. It's not just about being a machine whisperer, it's communication, teamwork, and being able to explain those technical details clearly. Those are all essential for success.
You're spot on. Think about those interactions with engineers or supervisors. Being able to communicate what you're seeing on the machine floor effectively,
Yeah.
or explaining a technical issue. Clearly, those are invaluable skills in any manufacturing setting.
And RoleCatcher actually gives specific examples of how those soft skills come into play. They talk about how senior operators often need to, train and mentor junior team members,
Right, right.
which requires patience, clear communication, and the ability to break down those complex concepts into, digestible pieces.
And let's not forget those problem-solving skills we keep coming back to. They're like the Swiss Army knife of the workplace.
Mm.
Essential for tackling those unexpected challenges,
Mhm.
finding creative workarounds, and just keeping that whole production process running smoothly.
Right, because let's face it, even with the most precise machines and the most carefully laid plans, things don't always go exactly as expected. You need to be able to think on your feet, adapt to changing circumstances, and come up with creative solutions when those inevitable hiccups arise.
That's where the true artistry of this field comes through. It's not just about following a set of instructions. It's about using your knowledge, experience, and problem-solving abilities to create those high-quality components that industries depend on.
It's like being a machining maestro. Now, RoleCatcher also has this really helpful FAQ section. It's like they anticipated the questions someone exploring this career path might have.
It's a gold mine of quick, to-the-point answers.
Eh.
About the role itself, the responsibilities involved, even the potential salary range and long-term career outlook. They really do cover all the bases.
Okay, so they reiterate that a boring machine operator is all about that precision enlargement of holes in those fabricated workpieces.
Right.
You're the one who sets up, operates, and maintains those impressive machines. And of course, you're using a variety of cutting tools to achieve those super precise specifications.
And they delve even deeper into those responsibilities, mentioning tasks like setting up the machine parameters, selecting the correct boring bar, and cutting tools for the specific job. And then closely monitoring the machine's performance during operation, and of course, carefully inspecting those finished workpieces to ensure they meet those stringent quality standards.
They also highlight the importance of being able to understand technical drawings and blueprints.
Oh, yeah.
You're not just blindly plugging in numbers, you're interpreting those designs, making sure they translate seamlessly into the machining process.
It's like being a translator between the world of design and the physical world of manufacturing. You're taking those two-dimensional plans and using your skills and knowledge, transforming them into three-dimensional reality.
That's a great way to put it. They even mention the importance of keeping accurate records of your work.
Yeah, for sure.
Carefully documenting any adjustments made to the machine settings or any issues encountered during the process.
That documentation is crucial for maintaining those high levels of quality control, identifying any recurring problems, and ensuring consistency across different production runs. It's all about sweating the details.
Right. And they really stress the importance of working safely and following all those safety protocols. They even mention that you might be responsible for training new operators on those safety procedures.
Right.
It's clear that safety is a top priority in this line of work.
And rightfully so, considering the work environment. They reiterate that boring machine operators typically work in those, fast-paced manufacturing settings, often working with heavy machinery. Safety is absolutely paramount.
No doubt about it. And when it comes to the skills needed to really thrive in this role, they emphasize a combination of that technical know-how and those essential soft skills we discussed earlier.
It's the perfect blend of hard skills and soft skills that makes you a well-rounded and highly sought-after professional. You're not just a machine operator, you're a problem solver, a communicator, a team player. You've got it all.
It's like the ultimate career trifecta. And finally, they wrap things up by addressing those all-important questions about qualifications and career outlook.
$1 million questions. So what do they have to say?
Well, they say that while a high school diploma or equivalent is often the minimum requirement for those entry-level positions, many employers prefer candidates with some form of vocational or technical training in machining or a related field.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Having that foundation in machining principles, tool selection, safety procedures, all of that would definitely give you a competitive edge when applying for those entry-level roles.
And when it comes to, climbing that career ladder, they mention that experience and additional training are key.
It's not just about putting in the hours. It's about actively seeking out opportunities to learn, grow, expand your skill set. They even suggest exploring certifications.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, like in specific machining techniques or specializations to really, showcase your expertise and stand out from the crowd.
Right, become the expert.
Exactly.
They do acknowledge that the increasing use of automation and CNC technology might impact the demand for those more traditional machine operator roles down the line.
Right.
However, they emphasize that those who embrace those technologies and continue to develop their skills will always be in demand.
It all boils down to adaptability and a willingness to learn new things. Those who can bridge that gap between traditional machining techniques and those cutting-edge technologies will have a definite advantage in, this ever-evolving job market.
So true. They even suggest that experienced boring machine operators could potentially move into those supervisory or management roles, like overseeing teams of operators or even managing entire production processes.
So there's definitely a path for career growth and advancement within this field, especially if you're proactive about, developing your skills, taking on new challenges, showcasing your leadership potential.
It's like they're saying, don't just settle for being a boring machine operator. Aspire to be the boring machine operator extraordinaire.
Exactly. Embrace the challenge, hone your skills, and who knows where this path might lead you. It's an exciting time to be in the world of machining.
It's funny how a word like boring, which usually means dull or uninteresting, can take on a whole new meaning when you really dig into a topic like this.
It's ironic, isn't it?
Mm.
Because as we've discovered, there's nothing boring about this field at all. It's all about precision, problem solving, mastering those incredible machines.
RoleCatcher really opened my eyes to a field I knew very little about. I mean, they've packed so much valuable information into this guide. From, those detailed career stage breakdowns to the interview prep resources to those insights into the future of the industry. It's impressive.
They really have created a fantastic resource for anyone considering this career path, or even someone, like you, who just happen to be curious about what it entails. They've taken something that could easily seem intimidating or even mundane and made it accessible and, dare I say, really exciting.
Totally. And that's what I love about these deep dives. You start with a topic. In this case, it was all sparked by RoleCatcher's guide. And you suddenly find yourself going down this rabbit hole of information, uncovering all these new possibilities, and challenging those initial assumptions.
It's all about connecting those dots, seeing how those seemingly small details and tasks fit into the bigger picture of an entire industry, a career path, and even, the global economy.
Exactly. So for anyone listening who might be thinking, okay, this has been fascinating, but what does it all mean for me? Ooh, that's precisely the question RoleCatcher subtly encourages you to ask throughout their entire guide.
They're not just handing you information on a silver platter. They're prompting you to, actively engage with it. Apply it to your own life, your skills, your interests, and, of course, your own career aspirations.
It's like they're handing you the blueprint and saying, all right, now go out there and build something amazing. So, as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of boring machine operators, what's the one key takeaway you hope our listeners walk away with today?
Hmm, that's a great question. I think the biggest takeaway is that curiosity is an incredibly powerful tool. Even a topic that might initially seem, well, boring can spark new interests, lead to unexpected insights, and maybe even open your mind to a career path you might never have considered before.
Perfectly said. And here's a final thought for you to ponder as you continue your exploration. RoleCatcher paints a vivid picture of a profession that's both, technically demanding and intellectually stimulating. But here's something to chew on. How might the increasing use of automation and AI in the manufacturing industry reshape the role of the boring machine operator in the future? Will it be a future of collaboration between humans and machines? Or will these advancements lead to entirely new roles we can't even imagine yet? Food for thought. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.